Oh boy, it's a finish or fail. What should we watch?
Oh boy, if I could only decipher your handwriting.
Well, we've got Yojo Senki, Urara Meirocho, One Room, Onihei, Renai Boken, Sakura Quest, Sakurada, Alice Tozoryoku, 18 If?
Let's fucking watch 18 If.
What even is 18
I don't
If?
remember.
Alright, let's watch 18 If. Okay, what the fuck? We made it 9 minutes into...
We made it 9 minutes.
Into 18 If? What the fuck was that about? Why did we watch that?
Why did we watch it?
Why was it on the list?
Because we saw the poster art for it, and it has some cool, like, purples
Trippy.
and pinks. Like, I don't really know what's going on in the poster.
It's
It
just
looks
trippy
like it
looking.
could be cool. Yeah, it's pretty...
I think
We're
we
into trippy.
I think we probably looked at the picture and you went, "Oh, that looks cool," and I went, "Oh, it's Studio Gonzo. They do some interesting stuff."
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then we put it on the list. This was mindless. Like, this is the level of, like, it's like art house and experimental, but in the most generic way possible.
Yeah, it's like a really cheap, like, McDonald's of art house.
Yeah, like, everything is weird looking and, like, difficult to understand. Like, characters never explain themselves directly. Just the whole first, like, 5 minutes is just
And
weird
that may
shit
just
happening.
be because it's the first episode and they're trying to, like, I don't
Draw
know.
you in with weird
Draw
shit.
you in with, like, weird shit. I don't know if they explain anything later on, but I didn't really care.
Yeah.
I didn't really care if they were going to explain what was going on. It was just...
It's not art house enough
No.
to be interesting because it doesn't feel like it was made by someone who's trying to pour their unique
Yeah, it didn't have, like,
voice.
artistic integrity. It just felt like
Weird shit.
just to get people who liked weird shit
Like, the
to watch
character
it.
designs look bad.
Oh my god, main guy looked like
Generic as
really
shit.
generic edge boy.
Yeah.
Like an
Bad designs. The animation's not really there, and the artwork is just a bunch of, like, weird trippy shit, but, like, that you've seen before.
yeah.
Just like general MC Escher-esque. There is, like, we
Yeah,
were
it
kind
was
of
very MC
interested when he, like, looks out his window and he's just looking at the cover of Velocity Design Comfort by Sweet Trip, and, like, everything's just, like, a bunch of shapes, and it was like, okay. It definitely reminded me of Akiyuki Shinbo's directing style. There's, like, checkerboard patterns, there's image-in-image stuff a few times, but...
It felt like a knockoff Shimbo.
Yeah, because Shinbo's stuff has such a clean, they're all the same. Like, you
Yeah.
can immediately tell his style, and it's so distinctive with, like, the harsh colors and the really harsh angles. This doesn't go that far. Like, the
No.
camera work is still pretty standard. The character acting is nothing special. Like, it's not as warped as Shinbo's stuff. And I was initially interested because it's got a Teddy Lloyd soundtrack, which we saw in the credits.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, sick, Teddy Lloyd. But then the music that was playing in the show, like, there was a couple of, like, electronic songs, kind of, that were nothing special. But then,
No.
like, the rest of it was more normal soundtrack music.
It wasn't really like anything special.
A track
It
played
did nothing
that...
to like set the tone of like a trippy universe. It was
Yeah.
just like really generic.
One song
music.
sounded like a generic version of a Yuki Kajiura song, which was bizarre to hear somebody else trying to do her style. But yeah, I don't know, man. Basically, around the 9-minute mark, I suddenly, like, woke up. Like, my mind had drifted, because you can't latch on to anything.
No.
Like, even when the first couple minutes are just nonsense. Then we establish a main character, but, like, he isn't interesting or engaging, and, like, whatever's happening in the world is so difficult to, like, grasp that I just didn't care. And, like, my mind wandered totally off track for, like, minutes on end. Like, I didn't even realize the episode was still playing. I was just, like, suddenly like, oh my god, we're still watching
Yeah.
18 If.
Once they introduced this like cat character, I just couldn't stop thinking about how like that character reminded me of the cat from the My Little Pony movie the entire time.
That's true.
And I'm like, oh.
My mind,
Triggered.
I was like, jokingly thinking, like, not high enough for this show. But then I was like deconstructing that in my head, and then I was going on this whole other tirade about like Hydea and how that video series has been interpreted by people, and like totally different other world. World I was in, not paying attention to 18 if. So yeah, I would say this is thoroughly dropped.
Do you think if we were high, we would have made it any longer? I think we would have made it
less.
Yeah.
We would have been angrier at it.
Yeah,
because it would have made me want to watch something, like, actually trippy.
Yeah.
You know, like, would rather watch, like, The Cobbler and the Thief or whatever. Like, some fucking weird animation.
For sure.
But yeah, no, this is totally skippable.
Don't watch it.
Alright, what's next? What's next on our fun bag of tricks? I could just use the randomizer again, but
We should do Sakura Quest.
Sakura Quest. Now that is a longer show, if we end up liking it. But I've heard a lot of people, ragging on Sakura Quest.
Me too.
Like some people are like, "Oh, it's like Shirobako again. It's great," and then other people are like, "It's fucking boring and I hate it."
I really doubt we're gonna watch all of it, but I'd like to give it a try.
We shall see. Alrighty, we watched 5.5 episodes of Sakura Quest, and it was a pretty interesting experience.
Yes.
But ultimately, we got bored and quit.
It was a coffee-esque. And I had too much coffee.
Coffee-esque?
Yes.
I don't know what that means.
It has a very mature kind of
Yes.
taste to it. Like, a lot of the jokes are, like, more dry, and you have to kind of, like...
Yes.
You have to be paying a lot of attention.
And you got too much coffee out of it, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I got too much coffee.
This is I feel like our camera's, like, at a really weird angle right now, and I can't tell.
That's it.
Now
we're diagonal.
Yeah, it's still weird. There we go. Yeah, this show has a lot of interesting elements to it, and some really detailed production that is impressive in certain ways. But, like, the problem with the show is that, like, what it's about
is really boring.
It's not interesting. Like, so this is a show, I believe this was made actually in collaboration with the actual
the town
tourism board of this town. What's the town called? You don't remember either?
Wait.
It's one of those Japanese
like
town
a
names.
Chupacabra?
Well, the Chupacabra is relevant.
Yeah, it starts with an M. It's like Majura or something.
I don't fucking... That's not a Japanese town name.
It starts with an M, so...
Yeah. Anyways, the show's like...
so
it's meant to be like a tourism guide to this town.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about these people who are like... It's about the tourism board of this town trying to draw people to the town. This girl who gets sort of...
wrapped up.
Yeah, she's called in to be the queen of the town, which is basically like the head of the tourism, the ambassador of tourism.
Yeah, so basically this girl has just graduated college and is like in Tokyo trying to find work. She has a bunch of interviews lined up, but nothing's falling through because like her...
Well, everything's falling through.
Yeah, she isn't cut out for Tokyo life.
Yeah.
So there's some like funny miscommunications.
Yeah, she ends up working here
the queen.
For a year. She thought it was going to be like a one-day event, and she ends up working here for a year, but she quickly gets wrapped up in the town and its way of doing things, and
which isn't surprising.
Yeah, and realizes that she probably should be doing this because she can't really do anything else, because she's basically incompetent. And that's all fine and good. She's a fine character. The characters are all okay, but like... just the human drama element of the show is the not compelling part.
No.
Like watching like I don't have that much desire to watch them bring this town to fruition. There's no like story behind the town terms of
it's just a regular town that just grows a certain crop.
I mean, it is made explicit in the show that the residents of the town do not care about it being expanded. No. Like, they're like, we're just living life, we're just normal. Yeah. We don't really care if there's tourism to this town.
They're getting by just fine. Like.
Yeah. I mean, they know that their town is in decline and that it will probably not exist forever, but they are not particularly worried about it.
They're not really willing to fight for it.
which is a very Japanese defeatist mindset, but like, and there's certain characters who are like riled up about saving the town and stuff, but like, and it's not like they're in immediate danger or anything. Mm-hmm. This show is not about like, there's not many dramatic stakes to it.
No.
And the individual characters, their narratives are just kind of, like you learn about the characters and shit, but there's no weight to any of it. Like it doesn't really matter. And as a result, it's mostly just a show about a quirky town. And the plot's not that interesting. So when the episode is just kind of like, setting up the story of the episode, it's boring. But when it's doing other stuff, when it's just being weird, it's really entertaining.
Yeah, there's a lot of really weird scenes and just scenarios that play out.
There's like pseudo-surrealist stuff. It's very similar to Shirobako in that regard, where sometimes something happens that like probably wouldn't happen in reality, but at the same time could. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know. So much of this show and the weird things that happen, like, they would never happen this frequently, but they're all like, yeah, I could see that. Like, I can see this miscommunication causing this very silly thing to happen. Or, like, like the history of the town's Chupacabra mascot. Because the whole town, they have this thing where they have a Chupacabra mansion. What is it? Is that what it is?
It's like a castle or like a...
Yeah, like the castle of...
It's a kingdom. It's the kingdom of the Chupacabra.
The kingdom of Chupacabra.
Yeah.
And it's because originally they were the kingdom of the Kabura, which is like a plant.
It's like a radish or something. And
they had a mascot for it that wasn't successful, so the leader of the tourism board changed it to the Chupacabra.
Which also wasn't successful.
No, it was also not successful. They tried to capitalize...
But he keeps hanging on to this idea of the Chupacabra.
They're trying to
it's funny.
Capitalize on the popularity of supernatural stuff in the 90s. Which I could easily see this all... Like, that part felt very real. I was like, yeah, I could easily see this being like the dumbass reason that the Chupacabra's there. And that's when the show's really interesting. And then there's sometimes like weird stuff happens that's just kind of funny. But then... yeah, like the history lessons and stuff like that, and that's usually what makes the show interesting. And the dialogue is really good. Like, there's lots of quips and just, like you said, there's a maturity to everything. It's very multi-layered. Like,
yeah, I would say that.
It addresses very adult issues in a nuanced way and at a quick pace. Mm-hmm. Where, like, there'll be a scene where, what was the one... where they were talking about, they have an idea, the main girl has an idea to build an evolving sculpture. Like, they're trying to save this wood carving, there's like a style of Japanese wood carving that they're trying to draw attention to. So they're like, what if we...
It's exclusive to this town only, and they have like a whole arc about how they're going to promote this wood carving to bring attention to their town.
Exactly. And so they're going to build a huge structure where like people can add more and more carvings onto the structure, and they're basing this off of a famous one in, what is it, Italy? Is that where that other one is?
It was something. They were talking about like some kind of architecture.
Yeah, there's like a famous one, like it's a real one, but it's in Europe. Yeah. And they were like, we're going to do our version of that. And when they bring this up to the guy who, to the board of directors guy, he's like, first of all, how are we going to get the money for this? And second of all, the reason that one's famous is because it was designed by the famous sculptor Vivaldi. To which one of the other guys goes like, it's Gaudy or whatever, not Vivaldi.
Vivaldi's a composer. And
so,
like, if you didn't have a mature like understanding of just the arts, that would go over your head.
Well,
I feel like
I really love the way that like what he's saying is a mature sentiment.
Yeah,
that, like, where does the money come from? And like think about why this thing was famous in the first place. Like, you can't just go copying it. But then for him to then misname the guy who it is and then have somebody else correct him, like, it's just a really clever, like, multi-layered joke.
Yeah, like I
really
got
appreciate
it when I heard it, but I feel like if you didn't know who Vivaldi was or like didn't understand,
I didn't get it until the guy explained it. I didn't catch that because in my mind Vivaldi is just famous old guy. It has nothing to do with what he did. And then it was only when the guy said it was Gaudy, not Vivaldi, that I went, oh yeah, Vivaldi's a composer, isn't he?
Yeah. I got it when they first said the joke, and I mean, I guess if you don't know, you can just pick up later because they do kind of explain the joke, but
and there's lots of stuff like that, like lots of really great dialogue moments that had us, and I really appreciate that it's a show about 20-somethings. Like,
definitely,
it's in that genre of post high school girls getting into the workplace. I love that she is someone who's been trying to get a job and failing, and ends up taking up a job in the countryside, which I really appreciate that the show is sending that message, because something I'm often saying is like, because I have lots of friends who are young people who are like, I can't get a job anywhere, and I'm like, yeah, but you can't get a job anywhere you want. Like, there's tons of jobs. They're just not jobs that you would think of or that you want to do, you know? I'm sure you can find a data entry job somewhere. But
I felt this, like, I could relate to a lot of the characters in the show and a lot of, like, their struggles. Mainly the main girl, because she's, like, a 20-year-old fresh out of college. She has a degree. She can't find work.
Right.
Applying a million different places, something that I've been through. I didn't have a degree, but...
You almost have a degree.
Yeah, I'm, like, a few credits short of a bachelor's, honestly. And then I also related a lot to, like, the older blogger character, just where she was saying that her job, anybody could replace her. Like, there's a million people in line to replace her who could do her job the same way.
Right.
And it's just all about, like, finding something that only you can do. And it doesn't matter if somebody else can replace you in your job.
It's about how you do your job.
Yeah, it's about how you do your job and putting, like, a little bit of yourself in that way.
Which, like, you're like a manager at, how would you describe your job?
I'm a front-end manager at retail. I manage a bunch of cashiers. I tell them when their breaks are, and I deal with angry customers.
You've told me before about how, like, you and all the other managers have your own different policies.
Yeah, we all have a different style, and we all kind of implement different policies, follow different rules, do things a little bit differently.
She was sort of telling her in the show, is like, anybody could do your job, but they would all do it differently, and, like, how successful the job will be done depends on how you're going to do it, So, again, interesting messages in there. Yeah. But then, also, a lot of it's fucking boring. Like, you get these moments, like, when the main girl shows up at the log cabin that she's staying in this town, and there's a stowaway in the cabin, this blue-haired girl who's an actress who's sort of run away to this town, and she's just sleeping in there, because she's just homeless. And she says that she's the manager of the place, like, just to, keep her quiet. This never ends up mattering, by the way. She just ends up living there. She gets up and she says some stuff like, she says, "Oh, are you a model or, like, a gravure idol who wasn't successful?" And, like, the reason she snaps the show business, we learn in episode 2 she's an actress, and, like, that's why she would assume those things. Yeah. There's lots of good details in the writing. I like that she gets up and she's wearing a sleeping bag that's got individual legs.
It's like a snuggy sleeping bag. It's beautiful.
And we gotta get into the insane level of character design work gone into this show.
I have never seen anything quite like this. Each of the main girls has their own wardrobe. They have, like, their outfit you first see them in, and I was kind of, like, under the impression that would be all that we see them in, because that was, like, what the poster had. But as soon as we get into episode 2, all the girls have completely different outfits, and, like, the more you progress in the show, the more you see, like, the same pieces being used again, but in different ways. Like, there's one girl, the main girl has, like, a yellow and purple plaid shirt.
Which is really cool.
I was like, oh, that's really awesome. Like, it's a really cool pattern. I've never seen anything like that before. But she'd be wearing it over different, like, ensembles. Yeah. Or, like, one girl wore the same, like, dress, but with a different pair of tights and a different pair of shoes. And there was a lot of detail.
The
and
hair
just,
ties
like,
on the one girl.
Yeah, the journalist girl, her outfits would, like, match her ponytail holder. Yeah. And that was pretty cool.
That is, like, I can't think of a time I've seen that. Like, I get so excited for a show to just have different outfits. I can't think of a time where they literally concocted a wardrobe for the characters and let them build different outfits.
Like, each character has their own style and, like, their own kind of color palette for clothes that they're wearing. Yeah. And then each outfit kind of, like, goes into that category, but they're all different. Yeah. And I think that's really cool. It's like a level of detail that I never seen. And if I, like, designed a fucking manga, I would probably have each character have, like, a staple piece that they would wear and, like, kind of mix and match. I think that's really cool. Sorry.
Yeah, it was definitely impressive.
Yeah.
Like, I can't think of... If anybody else knows examples, by all means let us know in the comments, because we will probably seek out those shows. I wouldn't be surprised if, like, that was true of, like, Nana or something, but I can't confirm. But yeah, that's why, like, there's stuff in here that I'm really impressed with.
It's really dry for the most part, but then there's, like, just little tidbits of things that just, like, keep me going and wanting to, like, continue the show.
And sometimes, like, I want to say the first 4 episodes in a row, all of them, fucking neighbors with their bass. I know that's going to get picked up by the microphone.
Yeah.
Anyway,
our neighbors are both sushi chefs, by the way. They drive a fucking sushi van.
So the first 4 episodes, like all of them, we spent the first half going, I don't know, and then the second half going, all right.
They would always end in, like, some quirky way. There'd always be, like, some, like, really cool joke that we're just like, oh, wow, that's awesome. There's, like, multi-layers to that.
And oftentimes it's because it delivers on, like, there's setup and...
There's payoff.
But then, when we got to episode 5, the payoff was not enough. Because it was like a 2-part episode.
It was like an arc. It was the wood carving arc, which on its face wasn't even that interesting. Like, who gives a crap about this wood carving?
And there's hints that it could have been more interesting. Like, the journalist girls, like, clearly got a crush on the wood carving guy. And his little brother seems to have a crush on her, but they don't really go anywhere with that.
I thought it was kind of cool that, like, that love triangle was, like, in the background. Yeah. But, they felt too much like real people for me really to be invested or care. Like, the characters were too realistic.
That's an interesting complaint.
Yeah.
Like, I think do you mean that, like, because, I mean, I would say realistic characters can be a great thing. But they are not... But
they were realistically, like, they didn't really go in a lot of detail. They don't have, like, a lot of... Their personalities are very real, but there's, like, no drama to anything.
There's no, like... There's nothing to... Like, if you heard a real person's story, you'd be like, wow, that's a fleshed out character, but I don't know them, so I'm not invested in their story.
It's, like, kind of like your girlfriend's calling you up and is telling you about, like, her relationship drama, and you're just like... Well,
wait, your girlfriend is telling you mean as a girl, your girlfriend?
Like your girlfriend, like my girlfriend is calling me.
Why is my
Not that I have girlfriends that call me about their boy drama, but let's just say there's somebody in the audience who understands telling you about the boy drama, and you don't give a shit.
Right.
Because they're real people. Sure, they're swell guys, but you don't know anything about these guys.
Yeah.
They're boring. They carve wood.
They're pretty boring.
They carve wood.
Yeah, they're George Washington carvers. The next episode then is about, like, they're setting up to make a movie or something, and, like, again, there's a lot of build up. Like, we can tell this is gonna be... There's a couple character arcs getting set up here, but, like, in the meantime, it's just so much of droning on about, like, the set design and all this stuff. Also, this is a problem I have with PA Works in general. And this is the epitome of a PA Works show. A lot of people compared this to Shirobako, and it's definitely similar to Shirobako, but Shirobako was not only faster and more dense and had more, like, clear goals, like the shows they're working on, like finishing the shows, but also it's about anime, which inherently makes it more interesting to me. You know, like, the kinds of subject matter that show's about is, like, deep, passionate characters, like, working tirelessly at this one craft that they're obsessed with. That's my life, you know? The characters in this show are not relatable to me at all. A little bit more for you, because you actually worked for...
Yeah. A couple years ago when I was 20, I lived in Oklahoma for a summer, and I worked 2 different jobs. And the second job that I worked, I was an intern at the Board of Tourism in Muskogee, Oklahoma, which is some, like, podunk... Midwest town that nobody goes to, and the main point of interest in this town was that a couple of years ago the mayor who got elected was like 18 when he was in office.
I didn't know you could be 18 and be mayor.
Yeah, mayors, I think 18 is like the starting dates. Like 18 and older, you can be a local government representative. Okay. But he was the mayor of this town for a couple of years, and he's kind of like a local celebrity. So when I was in Oklahoma, we did lots of like ribbon cutting ceremonies, and I would like photograph for those or like put together like gift baskets for parties. A lot of like really like kind of like the show, like just fun out of the blue things. So I thought that was pretty interesting, but
this show makes me want to be on a tourism committee more so than watch them do it.
That was definitely the most fun job I've ever had, and this made me kind of like
nostalgic.
Yeah.
Well, because that's the like I think. Like the kind of work I do is a lot of self-promotion.
Yeah.
Like I have to come up with like, oh, what's a creative way I can like get new people to watch my videos, and like that element I can definitely feel in there, but like the ideas are kind of so off the wall and dumb and like specific to the town. Mm-hmm. I totally forgot there's like an inventor guy in this town who makes like exosuits, and the characters are wearing like exosuits. There's definitely some weird surreal shit in this show.
Yeah.
But anyway, to get back to the problem I was saying about PA Works, it's a lot like Shirobako. It's even more like Hanasaku Iroha, which is another show about a small town in the boonies. That one's more of a character drama, and a little bit more serious than this one. But like, unrelated to all that, the audio. For some reason, PA Works shows have over-compressed audio. Shirobako has this problem too. It's my biggest issue with Shirobako, is that all of the voice acting is overly compressed, and it strains my ears to listen to. Like, it's slowly kind of like it becomes kind of a droning feel.
Yeah.
And like, when I'm not totally invested or paying attention and the characters don't stop talking ever, it's just this constant like drone of over-compressed audio. And it slowly drives me nuts. And I've never brought this complaint up because it's something I don't think many people would notice but me. But I definitely had this problem in several PA Works shows.
Yeah, it definitely adds to, like, the hard to watch.
Yeah.
You know, it makes the show feel like a slug.
Yeah, and also I would say, compared to other PA Works shows, this one has not as much, like, detail in the background. It's not as pretty. It's not as pretty as most of their shows are. And, I mean, it's not ugly by any stretch. The character design work alone is worth commending, but, you know, I've seen much better from this studio in stuff like Nagi no Asukara or, like, Glasslip, as terrible as that show was. Like, this is not on the prettier end of their scale, but in any case, yeah, I knew we'd have 20 minutes worth of stuff to say about this show, because it is really interesting.
It is.
It just isn't that entertaining and engaging. Like, it just kind of gets mind-numbing, and we were, like, halfway through episode 6, and there was a moment where both of us went, like, you know, like, right, I forgot. We
don't even know what's going on.
Fuck it, I'm done. This is enough. Like, I felt like I got the point within 2 or 3 episodes, and from that point forward, we were both saying, like, let's just drop this as soon as an episode is too boring. You know?
We had 2 episodes in a row that just, like, were not keeping us invested. And it was only episode 6, so that's not a good sign, especially when the show's, like, 24 episodes long. It definitely had a lot of interesting things and made me think a lot about stuff. Like, it was very thought-invoking. Yeah. And I could relate to
Which
a lot
is
of
why
the
I wanted to like it so much.
I really want to like this show, and maybe one day I'll give it a second chance, but
I don't know. There's always more shows.
There's always better shows to watch. Like, I haven't even watched Shirobako, which is, like, a sin. That is a fucking sin, and I feel like I should be watching that instead of this. Like, like, that's...
I almost want, like, I started to get nostalgic for the fact, because I never finished Hanasaku Iroha. I dropped it on similar terms, where, like, I was really interested in it, but I didn't really like it.
Yeah.
And, like, I don't know, watching this simultaneously makes me want to revisit it and also makes me feel at peace with my decision to drop it, you know, like, because it's probably the same story.
Probably.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a weird feeling. And this is, I don't know, I have a very soft spot for PA Works. I generally have always liked the studio. I've been following them since they started making their own shows, with True Tears, because I liked that show back in fucking 2007, but...
Damn,
they just always there's always too much I don't like. Like, I watched half of Nagi no Asukara, didn't like it. You know, I get far into their shows every time, but I'm always like, you just didn't take it all the way home. Anyway, we've rambled way too long. This might be the end of this episode of Finish or Fail, because it's definitely over 30 minutes, probably close to 40. So we'll see you in the next one.
Miguel out.
Okay, for some reason I thought we had covered 3 shows, but but May is saying it was only 2, so...
Yeah, we're back.
So let's do a third. Let's do one last show for this episode. What is Skirt no Naka?
I don't know. Let's find out.
Let's find out what Skirt no Naka is. Alright, we just watched the first episode of There's a Beast Under the Skirt, a wolf in women's clothing. It's porn, and more importantly, it's the same porn.
We've seen this before. We've seen this plot.
It's the priest show. Literally
Literally,
again.
the first episode is the exact same timeline. They're at a party. Girl gets drunk.
Goes home with older guy.
Goes home with a guy who's trying to take advantage of her. And there's a surprise plot twist.
And she gets essentially raped. But like...
No, she gets
is
raped.
into it. But
that was definitely rape.
That was definitely rape. Especially because he got her drunk first.
Yeah.
So this one's, instead of the guy's a priest, this time he dresses like a woman. And I'm saying it's explicitly a he. He is not a trans woman. He just dresses in women's clothing and takes advantage of young girls who feel comfortable around her.
Yeah.
Funnily enough about this, because we caught that it was a cross-dresser show going into it, and I'm almost happy about how unconvincing he is.
Yeah, like the show opens with just him passing by, and you can't see his face, but you can see his body, and he has very like thick trunk-like legs, and like the bust looks ridiculous.
Yeah, he's got like giant tits
like,
that look obviously fake.
Lumpy.
And like the hair is clearly a wig.
Yeah.
His face is masculine, and it's a male voice actor. Like doing a female voice. I kind of appreciate that.
Yeah,
That's
even
not
the
like
makeup
just
was like a drag queen kind of style. Like they had like
Yeah.
weird eyeshadow on the side.
But he ain't gay.
No.
He is looking to smash that fucking puss. And he just literally, this episode is very, very cute girl. Very innocent, cute, pure girl,
Yeah,
virgin.
She's pretty cute.
Just went to a mixer, but she was shy and left with what seemed like an older woman who was making her feel comfortable. The older woman gives her a drink. She's never had a cocktail before. She's like, "Oh, I didn't realize cocktails were so delicious. Oh, are you sure I can stay at your house?" And then he just like rapes her.
That's really fucked up.
Yeah.
That's really fucked up that this is like a fucking anime.
And it's pornographic.
She was pretty hot.
She was surprisingly hot.
Yeah.
She had great tits.
Perfect tits.
Much hotter than the girl from the Priest show. But it's the same fucking show. It's the exact same.
We were both like, this has to be the same studio. This can't.
It's not.
It's not.
It's not the same studio. It's just the same show. Like even that show in episode 1 of the Priest show, like he fucks her and she like passes out, and I think at the start of episode 2 she wakes up and there's a letter from him. And this one ends the same way.
Yeah.
She passes out, she wakes up, there's a letter from the guy like, "Hey, I went out to go run some errands." It's the same exact thing. Terribly animated. Character designs look like shit except for the girl when she's naked. Everyone else looks like dog shit.
So I'm kind of curious to see
perplexed.
where this show goes, because like it's not like they've known each other from before. Like in the pre-show, he just had this whole plot of just like kidnapping her and like mind raping her until they're fucking in love. And then this one, it's just like this guy just took advantage of her. Like, is he gonna take advantage of more girls? Is it just gonna be about this girl? Like where can they go from this?
I have no curiosity about where this is gonna go because it's terrible.
It's really bad.
And I was just...
It's bad.
I don't know. I know it's not gonna go anywhere good or interesting.
No.
It really made me want to watch porn.
Yeah.
Like, as soon as I saw the girl's tits, I thought, "Oh, she's got good tits. I want
to see more good tits.
I want to see good tits in a show that's an actual porn,
Right.
where it's not gonna be like a bunch of half measures. Like, I can't get off watching this show.
No.
The sex scenes are too short, and they're not animated. I mean, they probably will show them fucking, but like
not episode 1.
Not for a while.
You gotta earn it. I just want to see them going at it.
Yeah. What happened to the camera? When did this happen?
Kicked it.
Oh. You didn't say anything.
I don't know.
Anyway. That's it, I guess.
Right.
That's it for this episode of Finish or Fail.
We're gonna go watch
Don't
porn.
watch the skirt show. Watch good porn. What's a good porn recommendation for them to watch instead?
Instead of this?
Koinaka.
Oh, okay.
I think that. Hold on, let me look that up. That might not be what I think it is. I'm gonna look it up.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of a good one that would be accessible to everybody. Well, I typed it in Mal and nothing came up. I got Kashern Sins.
I don't think I can give like a vanilla porn recommendation.
Go watch Kashern Sins instead.
Yeah.
Alright. Miguel out.